How Rome's money collapsed, and is the same thing happening again today. When we think about Rome's fall, most of us imagine the same things. Barbarians invading the city, legions being torn apart, emperors losing in palaces. But the destruction of empires doesn't happen only through attacks from the outside. The real collapse begins from within. And the biggest reason for internal destruction is usually money. Rome didn't fall only because of invasions or corruption. The main factor was the loss of the money's value. And that period is still full of important lessons for today's economies. The symbol of trust. Denarius, Rome's most important coin, was the silver denarius. It began to be produced around 211 BC and was almost entirely made of silver. Soldiers received their salaries with that coin, and merchants wanted nothing else. So the denarius was not just money. It was the greatest sign of trust in Rome. But ruling an empire is not easy. Armies need salaries, roads need stones, aqueducts need workers, and wars need gold. When expenses increased, emperors turned to a classic method: to dilute the money. The hollowing of the coin. Asking the people for more taxes was dangerous, so they secretly reduced the silver ratio in the money. During Augustus's time, it was 95% silver. During Caracalla's time, 50%. And by the reign of Gallienus, it was below 5%. So the coin, once pure silver, had become a bronze coin painted silver, and the people realized it. As trust faded, inflation rose sharply. Even a small amount of wheat cost dozens of denarii. Soldiers demanded higher pay, merchants refused to accept debased coins, and everyone started to prefer gold or bartering. In short, nobody wanted the money anymore. But the emperors thought, if we produce more money, the problem will disappear. As you can guess, things got even worse. Rome's years of decline. In the 3rd century AD, great turmoil broke out in Rome. Wars, diseases, internal conflicts. New emperors rose to the throne and died within months. But behind all this chaos, the real reason was the collapse of money. Taxes no longer mattered because money had become worthless. Peasants abandoned their lands and fled. Trade came to the brink of extinction. The empire tried to fix prices, but it didn't work. Even forcing people to work didn't help, because the real problem was the money itself. Diocletian and the price-freezing law in 301, Emperor Diocletian issued a decree. From that day on, everyone would sell at the same prices, and no one could change them. Those who disobeyed this rule would receive the death penalty. However, if the money has lost its value, no law can save the price. The black market collapsed, and trade nearly stopped. The people soon understood, a law cannot fix money, the last resort. Constantine. Eventually, Rome abandoned the denarius. Constantine created a new coin called the solidus, made of pure gold. This coin provided stability in Rome for centuries, but the Western Roman Empire was already at the point of exhaustion. The collapse of the denarius had already destroyed Rome from within. Armies couldn't get paid, trade was gone, trust had vanished. Rome's fall wasn't a single event, it was a slow, gradual unraveling. And the thread that unraveled it was money. The same situation. Today emperors thought they could deceive their people. They believed coins that looked the same, but contained less silver, would go unnoticed. Today, many governments are doing the same thing, not by changing coins, but by printing paper, adjusting interest rates, and increasing debt. The result, always the same. The people pay. The rich are protected. trust disappears. History hasn't changed, only time has. Germany, Zimbabwe, America. After the World War, Germany couldn't pay off its debts, so it started printing more money. In 1923, the price of one loaf of bread rose from 1 mark to 200 billion marks. People were carrying their money in sacks. Retirees' savings were wiped out. Money no longer had any meaning. And that desperation brought forth a man like Hitler. In the 2000s, Zimbabwe did the same thing. Inflation rose so much that prices were doubling every day. Eventually, the country abolished its own currency and started using the dollar. Every time, the same mistake. The state thinks it can deceive the people. But history always shows itself. Is the dollar's end the same? In 1971, the US cut the connection between the dollar and gold. From then on, the dollar was only a trust currency tied to the state. Since then, printing money has become easier, debts have grown, and prices have risen. What you could buy for $1 in 1971 now costs $6. The money is the same, but its value isn't. Governments make inflation look like growth. When wages rise, they call it prosperity, but prices rise even faster. Just like in Rome, everyone repeats the same lie. Is the whole world facing the same fate? The difference is, Rome's crisis destroyed Rome. Weimar's destroyed Germany. Zimbabwe's destroyed only itself. But today, the entire world is tied to the same monetary system. So if a crisis happens, this time all nations will be affected. And again, it won't be the rich who pay the price, but ordinary people living on salaries. The message of history. Inflation is not an accident. It is a hidden tax. The real treasure is not in paper, but in reality, in land, in skill, in production. No balance lasts forever. Romans never believed their money would lose value. In 1913, Germans thought the same. So did the people of Zimbabwe. But in the end, the same thing happened every time. When trust in money disappears, society falls apart. Contracts lose meaning. Trade stops. Armies disband. When the barbarians arrived, Rome was already finished, because its wealth was already gone. History doesn't repeat the same way, but if you fail to notice, it destroys you in the same way. Rome's story doesn't show the power of money, it shows the fragility of money. And that fragility still exists even today.